we are going to show you pictures, and you can tell us a little bit of a story about that particular picture. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
I remember or something. Okay.
The Oasis bar.
Okay.
Well, I was sat in reception of the hotel waiting for them to come get out of bed. And then I'd been up for about 2 hours having breakfast. And then Liam turned up just looking great, looking like he'd been out all night rather than just got up. And I hadn't noticed it was said the Oasis bar above his head.
Yeah.
And I just had to stand there and don't move. And I had to get my cameras out of the bag and took the picture. And I knew then that I'd got a picture that would last with them for a long time.
So it was a coincidence, the name of the bar with the name of the
We had
band.
absolutely no idea that was even in the bar until I spotted it that just then.
Perfect.
We took that off Charing Cross Road in London, and the only reason we took the picture in that street is because the street's called Flitcroft Street, and Gary Flitcroft used to play for Manchester City.
Oh.
Wow.
That's weird.
There's the link. That's why it was taken in Flitcroft Street. Yeah, we did some pictures in the studio with the shirt like that. And then Liam climbed on Noel's back as if he was at the match, punching the air. But we started out quite civilly. And then Liam started punching the air. And then I took them outside and did some pictures. And Liam kicked the ball at Noel. So Noel kicked Liam. They had a fight. And then we got on with the pictures. And both of those shirts were my shirts.
Oh.
In fact, the sky blue one was Niall Quinn's, who used to play for City. And it's signed by Niall Quinn. So on some of the pictures, you can probably see a signature on the back. And because I knew they would forget to bring shirts, and I wanted shirts for the session, so I had to bring my own just in case.
Yeah, they use it.
And then you went to the street to make some.
And they return. They return the shirts to you, or they keep it?
No, they return them. I made sure.
Yes, you still have them?
Oddly, I sold them to a guy who collects Oasis stuff a couple of years ago. Yeah, that's one of the early ones where just after we got back from Amsterdam on the ill-fated trip where they were arrested. And it was just getting them to get used to being photographed in a studio and showing them different lighting techniques.
Yeah.
And you ask them to pose?
Oh, well, I normally ask bands to stand around and then I put them into some kind of shape. And what young bands do generally is they always stand as if in exactly the same positions as they stand on stage. So then you have to move them out of that a little bit and just get a shot. And obviously, Liam's going to stand in the front.
Yeah.
I think it works because the two of them have moved forward slightly. I mean, I photographed a band once. I won't tell you who it was, but I photographed a band once years ago for the record company. And the singer, halfway through the session, said to me, "Can you make sure you get the drummer on the edge of the pictures? Because we're sacking him at the end of the tour. And we want to use these pictures for the rest of the year." And I felt so sorry for this guy because I was moving him further and further, wider and wider away from everybody.
Yeah.
He may as well have come to stand next to me for the shot.
Oh, that's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one question, when you focus on the Gallaghers, the other ones felt like, I don't know, upset or something?
No, not at all. Of course not in the slightest. Okay. Bands know. I mean, the only problem you tend to have with bands is if they have a girl singer, they get a bit fed up with the girl getting all the attention.
Yeah.
And like Blondie, people automatically think Deborah Harry is called Blondie and she's got a backing band. So no, they don't mind. Most bands don't mind. I think that was taken in Paris.
Yeah.
When we went to Paris for a couple of days to do a shoot for Esquire magazine, and not much happened really. It was a television. It was a shortish gig in a TV studio for French television.
Okay.
And they were they didn't hang around together at that time. They had separate dressing rooms and their own space.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
It's a nice picture of Liam.
Yeah. Nice picture. Yeah.
Beautiful picture.
Oh yeah, that was when Evan Dando was taking far too many drugs and decided he wanted to be their friend, and he would hang around with them for ages and he'd turn up at everything. And they were doing an in-store at Virgin, playing 3 songs or something.
Yeah.
And Evan Dando turned up and wanted to play tambourine with them live on stage.
Mhm.
And it was getting a bit much, really. And then he and Noel one night wrote a song called Purple Parallelogram.
Yeah.
And Evan Dando put it on his album without telling Noel, and Noel made him take it off. And I think that's when they eventually fell out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Evan's not looking good there.
Yeah. Well, they look like they were partying for 3-4 days in a row without shower.
Yeah, but Noel and Liam can party for 3 or 4 days, and Evan Dando couldn't. I photographed Evan a lot for the NME, and I've been to America with him coast to coast, and I've done a lot of work with him. He didn't realise what he'd met when he met the Gallaghers. Yeah, that's one of the early gigs. That's probably Portsmouth Wedgwood Rooms, and you can see how small the room is.
Yeah.
If some guy trying to Liam's face as this guy tries to pull him off stage by his jumper is great, but it was completely chaotic. There wasn't room for the band on stage. It was that small.
It was in the UK?
Yeah, it was in Portsmouth.
Oh.
On the south coast.
Yeah. Well, it's a precise shot, right? Exactly when the guy pulled the sweater of Liam. Yeah. Amazing.
No, it's great. And Liam's face is great. Liam is like, get off my jumper. He's so surprised.
He's having a beer in the hand.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's all hands, yeah.
Probably the beer spill or something to the girl or the guy who's at the bottom.
Yeah, quite often. But bands, when they first start, they quite often just stand on stage with a beer as well as the audience. There you go. Man City said to me it was the final year of their deal with Umbro shirts, and City said to me, would you be interested in doing the kit launch for us? What would you do if we commissioned you to do that? And I said, I'd get Noel Gallagher to do it with Vincent Company. And they said, do you think you could? And I said, yeah. So they said, well, if you can do that, then it's your job. So I just asked Noel, and he said, yeah, of course. And he was playing a gig he was doing a festival just outside of Brussels. And Vincent Company's from Brussels. So we took Vincent over for the weekend. He went to the gig, he's the captain of Belgium. He stood on stage and introduced Noel to the audience. And he's a big hero over there. And then we did the shoot the next day in a warehouse. It was great.
And Noel is standing on a...
Noel's standing, they had a stage, and Noel's on the edge of the stage and Vincent's on the knot, because Vincent Company was about 6'3". Yeah, that's one of the early shots again when I was playing around showing them the lighting. And Liam's great. I think I get quite sensitive pictures of Liam. He always looks quite pretty in them, and I think I'm not really interested in the tabloid style of picture of him sticking his finger up at them at the press or anything like that. I wanted him to look like a rock star, and he looks like a rock star now. Yeah, that was taken. I was doing a series of photographs of guitarists' hands, just their hands. And I took some pictures of Noel, and because the light was quite nice, I took some of him through the window as well of the place where we were doing them. And that's the house on the opposite side of the street reflected in the glass.
Yeah. And at that time, Oasis was already split, right?
Yeah.
And what is Noel doing there? Only the photo shoot for you of the hands?
Yeah. I just asked him if he wanted to do it, and so he said yeah.
Okay. And
So-
that is London.
Yeah, it's in London, in East London again.
Okay.
I just did it in a friend's studio, just somewhere quiet off the street. And she's an artist in East London. And I said to her, do you mind if I just bring someone round and do some pictures in your window? She had no idea who I was bringing.
Yeah,
So it's a bit of a shock.
totally. Yeah.
But it looks good on that.
No, nice picture.
Yeah, thanks.
Very nice picture.